All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for joining me on another beautiful day. So today we're riding the 2020 Yamaha MT-07. If you guys don't know, I personally have a 2015 MT-07, changing the name now to the MT-07. You know, now we're out with the rest of the world. But this thing is beautiful. I love the black paint. They made this thing look how it should. It's a much more aggressive tank look. I like the new intake, well, even though it's like a fake intake. I like the matte colors. It looks so aggressive and nice. And why didn't they do this on the earlier models? They already blacked this out. I had to paint mine black. And the taillight looks 10 times better. So what else has changed? They have better tires on them. They have ABS. I don't know if they've done a lot of suspension changes. I sure hope they have, but I guess we'll test that out in just a second. But I'm very excited to get to ride this bike. I hope you guys are too. I want to thank my buddies up here at Westside Motorsports for always being generous to me and always letting me ride these beautiful bikes. So anyways, let's get started. Man, it's literally, oh man, all the little things that they've done to this bike just make it look so much better. One thing that they should change for sure on this bike, figure out a way to move this dash or move the key location. The key location should not be in front of the dash. I think that's the silliest thing. Especially if you put any type of windscreen on it, just like mine, it's really tough to get in there, to get your fingers in there for, to get the key out or in. So that's one thing I think Yamaha needs to look into. But this bike, they finally put some thought into these things. It's already blacked out instead of this stupid looking silver like they have on the stock on the first generation 2014 and 2015. Like all the handlebars blacked out. Well, if they just blacked out the levers, that would be a big improvement. But the one thing that I do not like so far is this. I do not like they put the MT-09 headlight on it. They put the old MT-09 headlight on it before they changed to the new headlight that's on the 2017 and up MT-09. So the new one looks good, the old one looks bad. I personally thought the original MT-07 headlight was way better than the 9s. Another thing that I like is that they put the blinkers on the side of it instead of on the headlight shroud. I do like that. That's a nice little feature, especially if you want to change those out in the future for some aftermarket ones. I think it makes the bike look a lot more clean. And that taillight looks so nice. It makes the bike very aggressive looking, as it should be. For someone my size, I am 5 feet 7 inches tall, about 150 pounds, and have about a 30-inch inseam. I'll keep 1 foot covering the brake and 1 foot on the ground when I'm stopped at a red light. But I have no problem putting both feet down. Not completely flat foot, but I am on the balls of my feet just a little bit. So that is one thing. Short riders can ride this bike no problem all day long. Next, the power feels exactly the same coming out of this 689cc parallel twin engine from Yamaha. Absolutely love this engine, especially when you open it up with exhaust and an intake on this thing, because the friggin' stock exhaust sounds so bad. It sounds like a lawnmower. Like, it makes this bike less appealing because it sounds like that. It's terrible. And another reason I love this bike, coming from my own, the power feels like I remember it feeling, but it feels slower, and I'll tell you why. Because when you have your loud exhaust, like my personal one has the Yoshimura full titanium exhaust on it, it sounds like you're going a lot faster than you are. And when you actually gas on, it sounds like you're hauling ass, but you're not. You're usually just putting it like 50, 45, 60, which is awesome. You don't have to break laws everywhere you go to have fun on this bike. And that's why I praise this bike so much. That's why I downgraded from my 2014 MT-09 to the MT-07. And I have not looked back since. I love the MT-07 way more than the MT-09 or MT-09, whatever you want to call it. I hope you guys are enjoying the video this far. And if you do, make sure to go out and check Westside Motorsports out on Facebook, Instagram, whatnot. Those guys are really awesome. I'm super thankful for them letting me ride. Check me out on Instagram at ShakeNBlake. I'll put it on the screen right here for you guys to go check out. So one thing I am a little skeptical on about this bike is I don't know if this bike really needs ABS. I think ABS really dumbs down a bike like this, especially it doesn't have a ton of horsepower, and I truly think any beginner could start on this bike. Yes, it does have a lot of torque, but it's manageable. Unlike the MT-09, that can be it's way more of a handful for someone who is new to riding, for sure. I'm not saying you can't, but I would definitely get this over the 9, especially if you're smaller and if you're new to riding. Every single one of my friends, I have like 5, 6, 7 friends who have this bike. The older generation, of course, but there's a reason none of them have upgraded from it, because this is such a good bike. And she's, not to say she's slow, this 689cc parallel twin puts out stock around 70 horsepower and about 50 foot-pounds of torque, which is a really solid number for a stock bike, especially something weighing less than 400 pounds. Ooh, I feel that ABS kicking in for sure. Just let these brakes break in. Yeah, let them work in a little bit, embed in, and I feel like she'd be just fine on the brakes department. But I don't know, there's something about ABS that I just do not like on a Hoonigan bike like this. I like being able to slide around if I want to. Granted, I have heard you can disable it, not in the menus, but you can disable ABS. This is a good bike, hands down. This is such a good bike. One thing I love about it that I've definitely noticed on other bikes is different. The throttle actually it's linear to how much throttle you give it. If I give it 10% throttle, I'm going to go 10% faster. 20%, 20%. If I give it 100, you can tell an absolute difference. Where on some bikes, 10% throttle feels like 100% throttle. It's like a light switch. You turn it on, you're going fast. You turn it off, you're slowing down. That's one thing. They did it very right in the throttle department. It actually makes sense, and I love it. So in just a minute, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take some pictures of this beautiful bike, and I'll be right back with you guys in just a second, all right? See you in a second. Now we're back on the bike. Just want to get off, take some beauty pictures of this thing, because she is pretty. So let me give you some thoughts on this bike so far. So this, after taxes, this 2020 Yamaha MT-07 ABS model is a little over $8 grand. And do I think it's worth buying a used one? Maybe like a 2014, 2015 model, 2016 model, whatever. Or should you buy a brand new one? And that's tough. I've never bought a new bike, so would I be able to justify spending an extra $3 grand on buying a brand new bike that just does just as much as buying a used one? Granted, you are taking a risk buying a used bike because you don't know what the previous owner's done to it. You don't know how hard they've ridden it. You don't know how well they've maintained it. So it is a risk, but these bikes are like bulletproof. You can wrap the snot out of these things. As long as you do your normal maintenance, it's very, very unlikely to have problems with this bike. It's just a good bike. It's reliable. It gets pretty good gas mileage. At least stock it does. Supposedly they get around 50-ish, 53-ish miles a gallon. Mine does not, unfortunately, especially after the tune and the intake and whatnot. Mine does not get that good of gas mileage, but it's that little extra oomph, maybe a little extra, and it sounds amazing. That makes it all worth it. Riding is like an experience, you know? And you want to have a good experience while riding. And part of riding is the sound, it's your atmosphere, it's your cockpit. What do you look at while you're riding? You ride it, you see the cockpit, you see everything in front of you. And you want to have an appealing front end, you want to have an appealing... Oh, there we go. It's a good little bike. It's got more than enough torque and power to get on freeways at any speed, like I was saying before. But what you spend most time looking at is the cockpit. You spend the most time looking at the tank, you spend the bars, the dash. You want it to be pretty, right? At least for me, I like it to be pretty. I like to be able to look at things like, oh, that's a nice touch, you know? I don't like boring and drab. Granted, the dash is pretty boring, but it does everything you need it to. It's got the fuel gauge, which is simple, it makes sense, you know exactly what it means. It's got obviously the shifter, the shift indicator, not the indicator. It shows you what gear you're in. That's the kind of, whatever that's called. The gear indicator. Yes, the gear indicator. And it's very easy to read. And you can do things to make that even more appealing. You can make it look blue, yellow, red. So there's a lot you can do to this bike, and it's just pretty. It works great. It's a fun bike, and one of the best bang for bucks bike. One of the best bang for buck bikes, bar none. This bike is so good for the price that you can get them for. You buy one used for $5 grand, you buy a brand new one that you don't have to worry about maintenance on, you get a warranty on, all this good stuff, and you will never have to worry about this bike. I'm more worried about getting stranded in my car than on my MT-07. That is just a good bike, and I've never worried about it, and I've never had a hiccup with it. And to be honest, who knows if I ever will. Wow, this thing leans. Oh my gosh. These are brand new tires, so I'm not gonna take it too hard. But this thing leans so good. Look at that. It's so easy. Okay. No problem. We're going uphill on the freeway. Not a problem at all. And that's all for this one, guys. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment what you thought down below. And make sure as well, go to Westside Motorsports Facebook page, go to their Instagram, say what's up. Come check these guys out out in Airway Heights. They'd love to help you look for a new bike, a new UTV, whatever you guys need, they have it for you guys. And that's it for the day, guys. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.